Here's the problem. 6 months old. 8 months old. And that right there is reason number one. You waste less beer. There was a time not too long ago that I thought, I should just make the most beer I can every time I brew. But then I had so much beer, I was ending up wasting a lot of it because I wouldn't be able to get through it fast enough. And that brings me to reason number two. If I go through beer quicker, I get to brew more often. And that's good for me. Reason number three, less ingredients, which ultimately means less cost. Really not a huge deal, but everything is smaller. So smaller means less ingredients, less cost. And the smaller size doesn't really just go for the kettle, it also goes for things like my fermenter. This is small. Kegs, 2.5 gallon kegs, they take up less space. Really, if you don't have a lot of space for things, going smaller might be the answer. And because everything is smaller, that brings me to reason number four. I can brew inside. And that really might not seem like a huge deal, but let me just show you what's going on here. That's the outside temp, 96. That's the temp in my garage, 90. And mind you, it's only noon right now, but even early in the morning, it's like 84 degrees. It doesn't get much cooler than 84 degrees in my garage. I don't know about you, but that's pretty much like instant sweat. Look at the sweat ring on the hat. I mean, I still gotta make it through an hour of a boil and cleanup. It's warm out here. So being able to brew inside is a nice break because I can take advantage of the air conditioning. Reason number five. Typically, because everything's smaller, it takes a little bit less time. Smaller volume of water is quicker to heat up to your strike temperature, it's quicker to bring up to a boil, and right now, I'm really busy, so I could use all the time I can get. Brew day is basically done. I've got my wort transferred into my fermenter. The last thing I need to do, other than cleaning up, is pitch my yeast. And that brings me to tip number 6. You really don't have to worry about making a yeast starter. Normally for like a lager, if I was brewing a 5-gallon batch, I would be worried about pitching enough yeast because I'm gonna ferment it cold and I would build up a yeast starter. But for this, because it's only gonna be a 2.5 gallon batch, I racked 2.75 gallons into my fermenter. I'm not worried about making a starter. I'm just gonna go with 1 pack of Urkel from Imperial Yeast and it's gonna be just fine. There was a time when I thought getting the biggest equipment that you could possibly have was the right move. And depending on your situation, it might still be the right thing to do. Ultimately, you've got to make the decision that is best for you and your situation. Either way, you're gonna make great beer because the size of the batch really doesn't matter. Speaking of beer, this is the Czech lager that I brewed. It is obviously not clear. It has only been in the keg for 3 days, but it came out absolutely fantastic. If you want to see the full recipe and tasting, go click right up here and I'll tell you all about it. In the meantime, cheers.